Hello and welcome back to my craft room. Well, it's high time I did start another page in my Vintage Stitchery, my dictionary of stitches, which I'm doing following along with the brilliant series that Christine of Create and Craft with Christine did. I will of course link to her playlist so you can go and check that out. I'm really enjoying going back through it. It was a fun little series to watch at the time. I think there are 175-ish videos that she did all together, but they're all quite short and sweet, and she did them as live premieres so we could join in and chat when they first went out, which was really fun. Didn't have time to follow along at the time, but I'm really enjoying going back through now, and I'm adding my own little bits and pieces into it as well, as and when things come up. My whole thing, if you've been watching, you'll know, is that I've been doing the whole thing with vintage supplies. Christine herself actually sent me a beautiful bundle of fabrics, vintage fabrics to use, laces and all kinds of beautiful goodies to use. I also got a lovely little parcel, lovely sheer vintage fabrics, which are sent to me by Kathy in Australia. So they both those bundles came over from Australia, which is lovely. I'm using my gorgeous threads, I'll show you properly in a minute, that I got from Miss Cheatham's collection that I bought from eBay. So everything that I'm using is vintage. I've also got, as well as following Christine's series, I've also got these little books that came in with some vintage magazines I bought. So I got hold of some needlework magazines that would have come out at the same time as Miss Cheatham would have been collecting up these threads and using them back in the 30s. And I also got a bundle with them of the free embroidery transfers that would have come inside the magazines at the time. So I'm planning to use some of those as I go along as well. So yeah, I'm having a lovely time with this. I've only finished B as it is. I've still got some bits and pieces I want to add to that as I go along as well. So this is going to be a labour of love that will last me for at least the rest of this year, I imagine. There's no rush to finish it. I'm just going to enjoy it. And hopefully end up with a lovely little kind of like a partly memento, and partly it'll be a reference book for when I'm looking for ideas for new stitches. And it's been really fun to expand my repertoire of stitches, because we do all tend to stick to the ones we know and use all the time, don't we? So anyway, let me show you how I got on with B. Done a little bit more, I think, since last time. I can't remember exactly where I was. This will be the front of my book. There's my A page. Here's the B page. As I say, I can't remember exactly where I was. I had to go into 2 pages for this. I think I probably had done most of this when I last filmed. I made this little sort of pocket in between where the 2 sets of pages join, because in a little while I shall need to bring in another stack of pages. So where those joined, I turn them into this little pocket. I love this fabric. I also had some beautiful fabric that Shell sent from her mother-in-law Beryl's stash, so some of those now have been added to the pile. I won't use everything I've pulled up for this project, but it's lovely to have so much to pull from. This was the borders I did following along in this little book. Was it this one or was it the other one? It's the other one. Price sixpence. That was 6 new pence. The fact that it hasn't got old money and new money must mean that was a little bit more modern. So yeah, in this book they show photographs and diagrams of some borders that you can do. Really pretty little borders, but using extremely simple, straightforward stitches. Running stitches, chain stitch, Y stitch. Nothing more complicated than that. Blanket stitch. And just combining them in different ways to create these really pretty borders. So I did a few, and I will do a few more further down the line when I put a few more stitches in. But I was really happy with how they came out. I just backed them on another piece of that lovely fabric, and that will go inside this pocket. I've emptied a couple as I empty these, but these came from Christine as well, these vintage buttons. As I use up the buttons, I will put the button cards in here because I think it's quite nice to keep them Made a little twisted buttonhole bar there just to hold this beautiful bobbin lace bookmark that my friend Avril made for me. I've done a bit of kind of cut work there, done with buttonhole bars, inspired by that little book I just showed you. But of course cut work also comes into the C chapter, so I'm going to do a bit more, and I'm going to use some of the cut work design transfers that I got, the vintage ones that I got, to do a piece of cut work. Because Christine does a beautiful little heart, she demonstrates how to do cut work, so I will watch that, and then I'm going to have a go at one of the designs from that little vintage collection that I bought. Patchwork, different there's bullion knots at the top there, and this was encroaching buttonhole stitch, lots of different borders all around the edges. Closer look at that bead. I did a bit of beading. That was one of the things that I sort of added. See if I can get that to focus. There we go. Very simple bead. I didn't do anything fancy. I added these beautiful little picture pieces Christine sent me. I just did a little bit of thread painting into it. Very, very simple. I'm going to do some more fancy thread painting later on, inspired by Christine. And I also included broderie anglaise here and here and here. Now I also had those beautiful butterfly pieces. Where have they gone? What have I done with those? They must have ended up in my workbox downstairs, because they were going to go in there. I've been getting into bujagi, or it's bujagi or pujagi. So I'm going to put a piece of it here to remind me. So this is a little bujagi style butterfly. It's just the stitching is done in kind of bujagi style. Although you don't really get butterflies on traditional bujagi, but this is a very traditional thing to have with bujagi pieces. This little thing that I've used here for the butterfly's head is called a bakji. It's a bat figure. So I've used that to make the butterfly's head. So I think, especially because by sheer chance, not design, it ended up in the right kind of colour to go with to go with my colour scheme for this book. I think this has got to end up here somewhere. I'm not sure where yet, but I will just pop it somewhere. For the time being, it can just sit in there. I've also started saving these little empty tea bags. Now they're meant to be biodegradable, so they might not last forever, I don't know. But they're just little kind of herbal tea bags, so I've been emptying them out when I've used them, washing them out and keeping them, because I think they would make lovely little mini samples of bujagi work. So maybe I'll keep these for P for pujagi. And by that stage I should have enough to make a little piece, and I think the fact that they're so sheer like this, I think that will look really pretty. So keep them carefully to one side. And I'm ready to move on to my C pages. Now there are quite a lot of C pages, so quite a lot of C stitches to cover, a lot of different kinds of, just couching and chain stitch, there are different kinds of each one. So I will, as well as obviously the double spread, what I might do is make a little mini book that slips inside and with a little clip for it to go in, I think, something like that, because I would like each page to have some sort of little interactive element. With this one it's that, with this one it's this. I've still got to embroider the names, so I've done Avril's name here. I want to put Beryl's name in here somewhere next to one of the pieces that came from her stash. I'm also going to put Paula's friend Deborah's mum's name. She's the lady that made this beautiful lace when she was a young girl. They're in Australia, they're in New Zealand now, Deborah's in New Zealand, but she as a young girl, her mum lived in England, and it was while she was here that she made this beautiful lace. So I've kept that space to embroider her name there. I like to incorporate all these little things that I found in amongst the vintage threads. Little rusty pin there, old needle. Can't use the needle, but it's precious. And some of the things like these beautiful little mini linen buttons. That was a button, that was a covered button I made myself. Yeah, so that's another little interactive element. Yeah, so I think for the seed page I'm going to make a little mini book, but I will do that in a separate video. And I think what I'm going to do is make a little fabric meander album. I haven't seen anyone do that as a slow stitch thing. I used to make them from paper years ago. It's like a little mini scrapbook. I'm going to make one with fabric for my seed page, so I probably will do that. That'll be a next week video now. So today what I want to do is create the kind of background for my main double spread. I'm going to include a couple of extra things to what Christina's covered. Canvas work will be one. Crocheted lace. I might try doing a little bit myself, and I've got a little sample of it here somewhere. For my main background for this, I'm going to do crazy patchwork. C for crazy. I love the style of crazy patchwork. I have kind of patchworked the backgrounds for the previous pages, but they've been more kind of regular square and rectangular shapes. In this case I'm going to do the traditional kind of Victorian style where you get all these different shaped pieces, and I would like to use some of this, what I've got left of this gorgeous print that I made that makeover top with the other day. I used some in for the top, and I've ended up with some odd bits and pieces left, and it does fit in quite nicely with my colour scheme, I think. So combine that with some other pieces and some laces and things, and I think one of the nice things about the crazy patchwork is that you can use lots of different stitches in between to join all the pieces together. So, and then I will make a little pocket somewhere, or a little loop of fabric or something to tuck the little mini book into. It's going to end up such a big fat book. Look how fat it is already, and I've only done A and B so far. And I will probably think of other things I forgot that I was going to include in B as well. I am going to now spend a few minutes just putting some of these strips and things together. I'm saying strips because I just picked up a strip, but really with crazy patchwork you want to start with, you don't really want square shapes. So and then I've got a couple of, I think this could work for the little mini book, the inside of it. I've got some of this. I think the colours would go quite nicely there, and it'd be really nice to stitch onto because of the lines. So I will include some of that. I've got another beautiful piece made by a friend. This was made by Amanda for me, and it's just, look at that. She's such a neat worker. I can tell you without even looking, the back is going to be almost as neat as the front. She would hate to see some of mine, so I've got to incorporate this somewhere. I don't know what that is. There's a stain on there, and I'm sure she wouldn't have given it to me like that, and I can't remember anything ever being spilt on it. It's not coming across on camera, but it's fairly obvious in real life. I think I'm going to take this piece first and just cut up a couple of kind of non-square pieces to get me started. The idea is usually do this with pieces that you've already, oddly shaped pieces you've already got, don't you? But just found them, of course. I put them inside the little pieces I was saying I didn't know what I'd done with. I put them inside this little pouch that Christine sent. I want to further embellish the pouch as well. This is just begging to be stitched into some more. Christine's already blanket stitched around there to create the pouch shape. And these beautiful pieces of lace all feature butterflies. That looks like it's following the same pattern done in a different colour thread. So beautiful. I mean, I could at a later stage I might still cut these up or stitch them onto pages or whatever, but at the moment I just want to enjoy them as they are. So this is Battenberg lace, B for Battenberg. This one's got some cut work and this beautiful, I think this is bobbin lace. Very, very fine. Oops. Is this bobbin lace? Can anybody tell me? But they all feature butterflies and they're all so beautiful. So those are sitting inside there at the moment. I might incorporate this odd piece here that I've kept. That would work quite well in with the crazy patchwork. Two of these picture pieces as well. I think that would be quite nice. And the bird, I think I quite fancy putting the bird on there and actually kind of almost fussy cut around it. Oh, I'm saving this for thread painting later. And I've also got all these lovely pieces of lace that Christine included, so I think some of those will have to be fitted in. And there was this piece of cut work. Now this looks like it's suffered a little bit from washing in that the thread has kind of shrunk more than the fabric, so it's gone kind of crinkly and wrinkly, which I quite like the look of. And what I'm thinking would be fun to do with this, because it's plain white and the stitching is slightly bluish actually, but I think that's probably just the way it's gone with age. It feels lovely. But what I'm thinking I might like to try is some Inktense colouring, again inspired by Christine, who's done a lot of colouring of threads and fabrics and things with Inktense. I have got a lot of Inktense pencils and Inktense sticks, and I think it might be quite fun to do something with that. So I'm thinking a little bit of, but adding some colour to it, and possibly even some extra stitching. I don't know, I'm not sure yet, but that's why that is there. So I think what I'm going to do is, because I will now have to spend like an hour twiddling around, cutting up different bits of fabric and creating an arrangement that I like on here. I want a background of the crazy patchwork, and then I will put pieces of like this with the stitching on, and they'll be stitched on so in such a way that you can lift them up and look behind. So my aim for today is to create this crazy patchwork base. So I'm going to fiddle around arranging the fabrics, and I'll come back and show you, because otherwise this will go on forever. I've finished fiddling about with this. I think I'm fairly happy with that overall design now. I'm going to use the fabric glue stick to just, I won't stick them down completely, just enough to kind of tack them down. I'll just put a little bit there for each one. I'll go through and do all of that, and then do a basting stitch on all of them. Just a little small running stitch probably, because I won't bother taking it out because I quite like the look of it anyway. I found these extra little pieces of beautiful crocheted lace. I think these came in the lovely bundle that Christine sent me. So I thought, we'll see for crochet, that makes sense for them to go there. There's also a little crocheted edging on this piece, so I'm going to use that to create a little corner pocket that I can tuck an extra little sample into. Perhaps some of the canvas work will go in there, also a bit more cross stitch. Got some braid and things I will use to edge some of the pieces. I'll just use it where it makes sense. Really, I can only use it where the ends are going under another piece, so there's a sort of finishing point, so there would be a good one. So I won't put braid on all of them. I found some little bits of lace and things as well I can use. I think this will look nice. So we'll put some of that here and there, and then in between all of the other pieces I'll just do decorative stitching using some of the stitches, some of the C stitches that I'll learn from Christine's videos. I've also cut this piece, which I think what I'm going to do is stitch it on there once I've done some sample stitching on it. It'll be nice to use the stripes of the fabric to guide my stitching, so I might use that for the different kinds of chain stitch, or there's loads of different C stitches. Really looking forward to getting into them. And then I'll stitch that down there and it'll open out like that, so that I can see the back, which I always like. I think that's the way I'm going to do it anyway. I've also got this bookmark to find a space for, and maybe it'll just go underneath there. I think I'm probably going to have to go over the page, so it might be that it ends up on there with some other fabric underneath it, but I need to remember to include it. And then I also found these pieces, and I've tried various different ways to include it, but I can't fit it onto this page in a way that I like, so that will probably go on the next page over as well. And there's this piece, which I love. And you know, like I said before, I could cut it up, but I just feel a bit loath to do that. Another piece of beautiful crochet. I could maybe turn it into a pocket on the next page or something like that, or you know, actually apply it on the next page. I'm not sure yet, so I need to keep all of these pieces safe and together. Some little snippets of Ada type fabric to do some more cross stitching on. I mean, I guess I could do some of my cross stitching samples on here. I don't really need to keep this big expanse of plain. Yeah, I'm sure Amanda wouldn't mind if I did that. Do some of my practicing on there, because it is a beautiful fine weave, even weave fabric. So yeah, I might do that. Kill two birds with one stone. I've got this piece, which again was in the Christine bundle, and somebody's hand cross stitched this little edging. So it's come off of a table one or tray cloth or something. I think what I'm going to do is even it all up, then turn this end under. It's so beautifully neatly hemmed, look at that. Turn that under as well, so that I end up with a band, with a decorative band, and I can attach that to the page, and my little mini book, my little accordion, my little meander album can tuck inside there with more stitch samples on it. So for the meander album, I'm going to use this on one side and this on the other. I'm going to incorporate that somewhere because it just looks so lovely with it, and I will do that on the next video. It's quite a nice little one. I've never tried it in fabric, as I say, but I think it'll work really well, and I think then I can make one up to do my buttons in when I make some more my buttons. So I also found these. I think I did these from a kit years ago, and they were for making into little cards. I thought, well, I'll cut them down a little bit more, fray out the edges, do a bit of a decorative stitch around the edge, or just some straight stitching or something, perhaps mount them on a piece of printed fabric and turn them into another little mini book that will probably get incorporated on the next page. So I've now got everything that I need now to do my C pages. It's all here. In a way, the hardest part is narrowing down what I'm going to use. So I've done that bit. I've now got the fun part of stitching all of this on, adding some decorative stitching. making my little mini book, doing all my samples, and when I'm sort of on to the next stage, I'll come back and show you how I'm getting on. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that little peek at my progress so far. I'm so enjoying this. I knew I would. As I say, I don't care if it takes me the rest of the year to do it. It's an absolute joy to do, and it's lovely to learn all of these new stitches and, you know, expand my repertoire a bit. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you again really soon. Bye. Oh, don't forget, I think this will go out on Friday, so tomorrow, Saturday the 6th of July, is our monthly Saturday night in, where my son Tom and I stream live on YouTube from here in my craft room. I'll put a link below so you can go over there now and set a notification so you don't miss it. I do have a little bundle of I haven't got it handy. I do have a little bundle of slow stitching, a little mini box of slow stitching fabric scraps to give away, so if you'd like to have a chance of winning that, it can go anywhere in the world. I'm happy to post it anywhere in the world. So but yeah, join us if you can. Bring along your own projects to work on. I'll be doodling Millefiori. But you can bring along whatever you like, or just bring along your favourite refreshment and join in the live chat. It's always fun. We always have such a laugh. Okay, hopefully see you then. Bye for now.